Welcome to the Bella Vista Gardening Program. I'm Geri Hoerner, and today joining me is my friend David Kramer. He is the owner of Yardworks LLC of Bella Vista. And this month we're going to be talking about neat new tools and the old standbys. We've got to have old standby tools too.
For sure.
Yes, we do. And we'll also cover upcoming events. And there's not very many going on this month. And first I want to thank our sponsors that we have is the Bella Vista Garden Club and the Benton County Master Gardeners. Those are our two sponsors now. And we really appreciate their support, and they've just been great partners with showing arranging the programs and helping with the programs. So anyway, I want to thank our sponsors. So the upcoming events, there's not much going on in February. It's too cold to do anything. With the ice and snow, you can hardly get out of your house. But on some of the warmer days in February, we do have some warm days in February. And you can always visit the nurseries or, one of the public gardens and walk trails and just see what wildflowers are coming up, because they come up almost year-round. So anyway, we're going to discuss tools. And David, I know you've started a new business about, 2-3 years ago?
I'm almost 2 years in now.
2 years. And you're doing mowing, leaf blowing, trimming, and, vegetation management.
Yes.
Basically. Okay. And you've had to purchase a lot of equipment.
Yes, I have.
Over the 3
Learned
years.
a little bit,
Yes.
too, while I was at it.
And then you've done a lot of research on projects, too, products. So I know some of the tools you've used at my garden has been amazing, and we're going to talk about some of those. And the main thing you're doing is just mowing and
yeah, pruning, trimming, stuff like
right.
that.
You're not doing landscaping or
No,
anything like
no.
that. So, but there's things you got to consider before you purchase a product. And now, when you go in and start researching these, so you're looking for a good company name, and you're looking for a good product. Now,
Absolutely.
do you read the reviews?
I do, and I'm a fan of YouTube
Yeah.
because you see people actually putting the tools to use, sometimes professionals that use them every day. And so it's real good to hear their input,
Right.
from a situation like that.
Right.
And, sometimes it's just trial and error, So,
But you also have to consider where you're purchasing them. If you're online, you're just basically relying on some of the reviews.
yes.
And when I do reviews, I look at the good ones, I look at the bad ones.
Yes.
Because there's one I reviewed on a tool, and it was, he gave it a bad review. And I looked at it, well, it was because he was left-handed. And he said this was not a good tool for me because I'm left-handed. Well, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not
Yeah.
left-handed. So you have to read the reviews and
Yes.
see why they liked them or why they didn't like it. And then another review was, this woman bought a tool and she liked it because it matched the colors in her garage. Well, I don't care what color it is as long as it works.
To each their own.
Yes, right. So anyway, you have to consider the company that makes the tool, and is it going to last, and
Sometimes even availability of
Oh, yeah.
parts for repair and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that. Some items are dealer only, and some items you can get parts and stuff
you have to look
readily
at your
available.
warranty,
Yes,
warranties, read
yes.
your warranties. Okay. So, but there's more and more of these battery operated.
The technology has come a long ways,
Yes, it is.
for sure.
And in your situation, I know you use a lot of gas powered because you have to go all day,
I do.
and that battery could die.
Yes.
So,
it's
but for
very
the homeowner-
aggravating if your battery's dead and you still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Now what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but the batteries are getting better, I think.
Absolutely.
And then if you have a backup battery, it helps too.
Absolutely.
So anyway, there's more and more of these tools, and we have some photos of some of the new electric tools. on the
Yes.
market that homeowners may want to consider.
This is a setup that I am strongly considering. I've watched a bunch of reviews and YouTube videos and stuff. Professionals are using these, so that tells me that they stand up to daily use, you know,
Right.
instead of just an occasional user.
So the one at the top is
This is
Chainsaw.
a pole saw.
pole saw.
And it's basically an extended chainsaw where you can reach up high, get places out of reach without having to get on a ladder and stuff. They also offer an extension for that, which you can see right next
The
to it,
second one.
that you can extend your reach even farther yet.
Wow.
And it's a kind of a combo system where you can detach the pole saw and you can hook up, say, the hedge trimmer
Yeah, that's on the bottom.
there on the bottom. And the hedge trimmer, they have come up with a new technology for those where the end of it actually articulates at different angles to where you could hold it up high and stand on the ground and still cut something off flat, you know.
Trim a hedge
Yes.
straight across.
And you know, it has the extender pole works for that also, to where you could have those big wide hedges where you reach across and try, you know, it's really, this is going to be my next setup.
Okay.
I have gas powered, the same setup with the hedge trimmer and the pole saw and all that. And I've definitely, after the technology's gotten so much better, I'm definitely going to go to this type of a setup. And of course, I'll have my gas for backup.
Right, right.
And you know, the fumes and mixing the fuel, it's not that big of a deal for me, but some people are super sensitive to that.
Right.
And also the weight. The electric stuff is almost always lighter and easier to handle. It's definitely moving that way
Right.
for sure.
And then there's pole saw. The next photo we have is the different attachments that are available. So
Yes,
it's
and
kind of hard to see that little one at the top, but there's
with
so
this
many
same-
options.
With this same setup, you can put a weed eater head on there, do all of your string trimming. You can also put the metal blade edger where you can do the edges of your concrete, like your grass areas and your driveway. And it's a really universal tool. And of course, if it doesn't hold up, if you got big jobs, you could always grab you an extra battery and have it on backup. But I know for a fact that professionals are using these in a
More and more.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so, you know, that tells me that the technology's there.
Right. Yeah. So those are great new things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you also have a small electric pruner that is my 5-star tool.
I tell you
love
what,
that tool.
I had no idea that they made these until I got to looking around, and this thing is super amazing. It comes, the one that I got now, different companies have different brands or different types, but this one here in particular, it's pretty lightweight. It has a battery life meter on it. It comes with 2 batteries and a charger with this particular unit. It counts how many cuts you have, how many cuts you've ever made. It's adjustable, and the trigger pull on this thing is so easy.
I
that
just love that tool.
if you've ever been out there
Right.
working on your crepe myrtles or your azaleas or whatever, even the easier handheld ones, this thing you can go all day long.
Right.
And there's no fatigue at all.
And I used that to trim some of my azaleas this past year. I just love it. I mean, I did my 7 or 8 azaleas in maybe 20 minutes. Would have taken me hours.
Record time.
Record time, and the cut is so fast and so clean. The only thing you have to really be careful, that'll cut your finger off.
It absolutely
It
will.
I mean,
and
it is so strong.
brought
so
a pencil
powerful.
here just to demonstrate this thing effortlessly.
But you can see if your finger
And it
gets in
even
there,
makes a nice smooth cut.
it's a nice smooth
I
cut.
mean, it is. It's one of those things that you never knew you had to have it until you
did.
got one.
Yeah.
And I don't even use my handheld ones anymore,
No,
the
I'm
manual
very
ones.
spoiled. I may have to
It
get
is
one.
super nice.
But the thing is, when you're helping me trim, and I'm saying, you know, this is the one I want trimmed, we have to be careful that I'm not pointing to it
Yes.
and you're not cutting it at the same time.
It scares me
Yeah,
in a
you have
certain
to
way
respect
that I'm
it.
like, hold on, yes, make sure you got your fingers in a safe place before
Right.
you pull that trigger,
Yeah.
because you almost can't get out of it soon
That's
enough.
right. But it's a great little tool, a great trimmer.
Absolutely.
And it'll go up to maybe an inch
I
or
think a little bit over
3/4.
an inch.
Really?
And of course, I always push my stuff to the max. And you can even do some bigger stuff if you
You
kind
just
of work it
kinda-
around and do a couple pulls on it. It's amazing. I mean,
really
it
is.
really is.
It is a great new tool. And we do have a photo of a larger one that
Yes.
we found, but this really looks heavy.
I happened to leave mine out in the rain and I ruined it. And I loved it so much that I went back and bought the exact same one again, because I got to looking at some other ones. A company that I already have batteries makes one, but it seems like it's so big and bulky, and this one is so much more streamlined that I just went back to the exact same one that I had before, because I think that, you know, sometimes you're trying to get in there and pulling stuff back and just get to that right one, and having that great big one, I think, would be
And it's
kinda-
heavier. It's a lot
Yes,
heavier. This
absolutely.
is so nice and light. Okay. The other one we have is the leaf blower. Now you have a leaf blower that is like a turbocharged engine.
I set out
It's like a hurricane going
I
through
set
the
out
yard.
to get the most powerful blower that I could get my hands on. Everybody knows around here how the leaves are, and they are out of control sometimes. And the particular one that I bought, I've stuck with kind of the same brand, but it has a couple of features that no other backpack blower has.
So this is on your back. You wear this on
Yes,
your back.
this is a backpack style. The tube that you blow with on the one that I bought, and it's the only one that I know of, it is telescoping.
Okay.
So you can shorten the tube, like if you're in flower beds and
Between
stuff.
shrubs and-
Yeah, and you don't, it's a lot easier to keep it away from the ground where you're not, because this thing will blow gravel, mulch, whatever.
it
Out of
blows.
and it makes it a
Not
lot
just
easier.
leaves, right? Not just
Yes.
leaves.
And also, this particular one has something that nobody else has, is the side start version.
Okay.
Now, if you've used a backpack blower at all, you know that it has to be off your back, sitting on the ground, or somewhere else where you can start it. Then you have to pick it up
And put it on.
Well, I have customers come up and talk to me while I'm working. I can just shut it off, have a conversation, reach over, start it back up, and I'm off. I don't have to keep taking it back off and putting it back on. It's,
But the one you have is it's a heavy duty.
it
and
is heavy duty. It's the heaviest one I
call
think
it
that you
your
could
tornado
by
that you
weight.
come through.
But I've never seen a pile of leaves that I can't blow right
Right.
through. I mean, none of wet leaves, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you have to be good and strong, because I've worn
heavy.
that thing for 4 to 6 hours and I feel it the next day
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. There is smaller ones, you know, for the
Absolutely.
homeowners. That I think we have a picture of one of the smaller ones, a backpack. No, I think that was
And
that's the wrong one.
this is a
Anyway,
different one.
there are
but,
smaller ones.
I actually have one of those.
There's
there's
the small
one.
Yeah, that's the small one.
So it a little bit less fatigue, you know, doesn't have some of the special features that mine did, but these are great for a homeowner that has a little bit more than what you'd want to do with a hand
Yeah,
blower.
your hand gets so tired when you're using
Yes.
that blower. So
For sure.
okay. And then there also is a leaf blower that's a vacuum that you use.
Yes.
And that's the one there.
It doubles. I actually use it for several things. This particular one, it has a vacuum tube and a bag there you can see in the picture, and it goes over your shoulder. Well, you can walk around and suck up particular leaves, and it mulches them and puts them in that bag. Like, say, what I've noticed around here, the people's front doors. The leaves always seem to gather up,
yeah.
and there's just a few there, you know. But if you want to blow them, you have to blow them, keep blowing them out of the driveway, out of the yard. And this thing, you can just walk up to a small, debris and just suck them up, and you got them in your bag, and you take off with them, and you don't have to.
After you get them in your bag, then they go in my compost.
Yes,
they're perfect
absolutely.
for my compost.
You should try to save those as much as you can. Keep them on the property.
Yeah,
use them for something else.
Yeah, that's what we have to do with leaves. And you've seen a ton of leaves.
So besides that, I can take the bag off of it. I can put a regular blower chute on there, and I can use it as a handheld blower. Now I even have an extension tubes that go on mine where I can stand on the ground and it will blow out gutters, blow some debris off of your roof, and not have to climb up on the ladder.
Yeah, you get those parts of the roof with a V and it just
where the
collects
valleys
all.
are, and it gathers in there. Well, I can reach up there a lot of times and clean that off and never even climb on a ladder or anything, which makes it a lot safer. Yeah. Even my clients don't want me on a ladder just because they're worried about,
the safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is great.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other picture we have is a cart. Now this is what they call it, a gorilla cart?
Yeah, that's the brand name, basically, of it.
But there's other carts like this.
Yes, absolutely. And I tell you, try not to make a long story out of it, but I've only known the single-wheeled wheelbarrows ever since I was a little kid. And everybody knows once you get a bunch of weight in there and you start to maneuver it, if it gets a little off balance, then you are struggling. Yes. And I started working at a client's house, and she doesn't use the wheelbarrows anymore. And every time I went over there, she had one with 2 wheels on it, one on each side. And I started using that thing and realized that I don't have to balance it anymore. I could pick it up with one hand and take off with stuff. It was so convenient.
Well, you see the wheelbarrow there.
Yeah.
That's how it's wheels in the front and all your weight's in the back, and it's hard to maneuver.
Yes, and with the ones that I have, the wheels are underneath of the load more to where it's already somewhat balanced. You don't have to carry that brunt of the weight.
And this one doesn't have a bar in the front.
Yes.
But there are some that have a little bar in the front. Now I have, you gave me one or you got me one.
Yes, and that was my favorite one until...
But it has a bar in the front.
And sometimes, if you ever used one much, if you tilt that thing too much far forward, or you have a little bit of an abrupt, like a rock or something, it will catch on that, and I mean, it will come to a stop. I've jammed myself in the ribs a couple of times by thinking that I was going to walk on through, and it stopped on me. And the one that I have, the wheels, whatever the wheels forward, that's what it runs up on, and it never tries to do that to me. And using it every day, you start to catch things like that.
And they're both good. They're both good carts, to use.
Absolutely.
But you have to consider whether you want that bar in the front.
Yeah.
And
work
around it. So.
And
I love mine. It's just great. So.
I haven't touched my single-wheel wheelbarrow since I've used a double-wheeled wheelbarrow.
There's a good use for those wheelbarrows, so you can make them planters.
Oh, yes.
Put some holes in the bottom and plant things in them, and then you don't have to throw it away, but you can still use it.
And it's kind of a backup, The one I have also has hard tires, so no air. And I never had trouble with my air-up tires. But I always had it in my head, what if I do have a flat and I've got a full load, you're done. You're not going to keep on wheeling it around.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Okay. And then we also have, talking about leaves, we've got this is a new thing I hadn't seen before, and it's the leaf gathering. It folds up flat, and if you want to show that.
Yeah, you know, I just came across this when I was on the internet one day, and it is super handy. I've actually had a couple of my neighbors saw me working with them, and they went and bought them now. It has a plastic ring that goes around the inside edge, and it holds its shape. And especially once you get a little bit of stuff in it,
And then it's
but you
really
know how
gonna
you
hold it.
struggle with the trash bag, you're trying to keep it open.
Yeah.
Well, this thing holds itself open, and it holds 105 gallon, I think is the capacity of it. And it is super handy. And sometimes, even if I put some heavy leaves in it, I'll just put this up into my wheelbarrow, and that
then
way
go.
it'll hold a lot more than the wheelbarrow itself.
Right.
And I'll still be able to wheel it around.
Right.
Plus, it's compact.
Right.
And, you know.
Doesn't take up much room.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
I love it.
And then I know you use tarps, you know, if there's a lot of leaves, and I have a lot of leaves. You know,
Yes.
you have to blow them on the tarps and then drag them.
Yes, I get
and-
like my big 10 by 16 tarp, and I'll just pile as many as I think
And
I
then
can
just
drag,
drag
and just drag it off that
where
way.
we need to go. But, you know, a lot of these leaves just have to, you know, compost somewhere. And if you have any area around your yard that's not, you know, pristine, you can pile those leaves, and you'll get good mulch out of it, good
Yes.
compost. So that's a great new tool. I love that, because
For
there
sure.
are some holders that just hold a trash bag, but there's not you can't get that many leaves in there, and you're pushing them down, trying to pack more in. And
Yeah,
this one really holds a lot.
I've never seen 105-gallon trash bags.
No, I haven't either. No, I haven't either.
And you'd be surprised. Once you start putting some leaves in there, if you tromp them down, you can get
You
a
get
lot of leaves in
Yeah.
one of those.
And see, the people on the lakes, they can't just throw their leaves around, you know, like in the lake or something.
Yeah.
So they have to either mulch them or they have to carry them off.
Yes.
Yeah. And the twigs and things too. And see, that would be great, because the twigs aren't going to poke holes in it like a
Yeah.
plastic bag.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do a couple of lake properties where I have a little garden tractor and a trailer. And I'll put this in the trailer to be able to haul them up the hill. You know,
Right.
I can't imagine. I'm huffing and puffing by the time I walk
Yeah.
up some of those lake properties.
Yeah, that's true. So, and then there's always the old standbys that we have to have. You got garden gloves and clippers and pruners.
I
You need
actually got a set
ratchet.
of the gloves. Jerry actually bought
I
these
love
gloves for me because she's so awesome. And I tell you what, I get in there and I get my hands to work sometimes. And I will get in the gravel and just start digging with my hand. And these things are super tough.
They are tough.
I've been to the big box store. I've been like, oh, I'll try these. I'll try these, you know. And it seems I can wear through the tip of a pair of gloves
real
in
fast.
no time. And these, they just keep going
And
keep
those
going.
are available from the Bella Vista Garden Club. So if
Very
you go to the
nice.
plant sale, you can find them there.
I strongly recommend
Right.
them.
Yeah,
And
they're great
these are
gloves.
my go-tos. They're not super insulated for keeping your hands warm, but they definitely protect your
Right.
hands, and they are tough.
And then there's the other things you probably need in your garden. Of course, you have to have shovels, the round shovel and the square shovel. And then there's a narrow shovel that you use too.
Yes, and you know, everything has its purpose, and I try to utilize every purpose I can get out of all of my tools. And you know, I have a little narrow one, I think they call it like a trenching shovel, but you can get in there and maybe dig some stuff up and not be so invasive with the great
Right.
big wide blade. You know, you
Right.
can focus right where you need to.
That's true. And then, of course, you have to have a pitchfork and all those other tools.
Absolutely. It didn't take me long before when I was dealing with a lot of mulch and stuff. That's the best way.
Yeah.
You can shovel it, you know. I
Yeah.
have a big scoop shovel that I'll do, but
The fork is
pitchfork
much lighter.
is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Okay, and then don't forget you have to have a snow shovel. But, you know,
Especially in these
I
times.
have to warn you, don't use your snow shovel if you're not physically active all the time. If you're going to that's the one thing you're going to do a year is get your driveway cleaned off. You probably end up at Mercy Hospital
It
with
is
a heart
a
attack.
workout,
So
and a person needs to
You have
make
to be
sure
aware.
that they take plenty of breaks and,
Right. Yeah.
get your rest in between, for
that's
sure.
right. Yeah. So and you can let other people, do your driveway or just don't.
Yes.
But have a snow shovel handy for somebody else to use if you don't use it. So, but there's we've had so much ice and snow lately. This is probably what it looks like outside now.
Yes.
And beginning of February. So
I'd say
it's
this
just,
is a good representation
It
of what
is.
we're dealing with right
That's
now,
right.
for sure.
And then, but don't try to get the we have some ice, don't try to remove the ice from your shrubs and plants because it just breaks them.
Yes.
If it's a heavy snow with no ice, then you can maybe take a broom or shake it a little bit to get some of the heavy snow off. Some of my shrubs were like bent over with snow,
Yes.
so I kind of
I went to
got the snow
trim
off.
some bushes the other day, and they were so pushed down that I couldn't
you can't
even.
do
Yeah.
anything. And speaking of that, we've had just such a horrible winter and so cold. There's so much damage out there that I see on the leaves. We're going to have to wait a long time this spring to determine whether a plant's dead or not.
Yes.
Because right now they all look dead. And then we'll just have to wait until the new growth comes out or it's really dead. So it's going to be a waiting game
I have
this
had
year.
several clients had me dig some stuff up because they were quite sure that it was dead, and if you'd just leave it and wait and see,
just have
sometimes
to
you
be-
might have to trim a lot of it away,
Right.
but there'll be some new life coming out,
That's
and it'll
right.
start back again. The crepe myrtles are a good example of that.
Yeah.
I've cut a lot of big, and then sure enough, here they
there's no
come again out of the base.
You just got to be patient this year.
Yes.
And then
See what spring will bring.
yeah, and then your lawns, just it's a good time to apply lime. Once the snow and ice is gone, apply your lime for the winter. And like roses and your trees and shrubs, I just kind of wait. This is a waiting game this year. Even Janet Carson is saying, there's just so much devastation statewide with this cold weather. It's just going to be a waiting game.
Yes.
And but later in the month, starting in February and March, you can start dividing your perennials, and that's a good time to divide them. And then your grasses in late February, early March is when you can cut your grasses down in your Liriope, get the dead stuff down, and you just want to cut it a little above where any green growth is showing.
Yes.
So, but I think I'd kind of wait till the green growth shows before I'd start trimming, because it's going to be a slow spring. We're going to have to wait on a lot of things.
Yes,
So,
after that severe of a winter.
yeah, we've had a terrible, terrible winter this year. And the cold is what's really gotten those plants. So, and don't forget to feed the birds. We got to feed the birds over this. My husband's been throwing bird seed out on the deck so they have some seed on the ground.
My wife makes regular trips to the bluebird shed
Yeah.
for feeders, seed, all that.
Got to feed the birds. So winter's a good time just to check your garden catalogs and order what you want to order for this upcoming season. And the Bella Vista Garden Club has a great website, and so does the Benton County Master Gardeners for information. So the Master Gardeners meeting is the first Tuesday of the month at 6 o'clock in Bentonville, and there's information on their website. And so the Bella Vista Garden Club meets again. Let's see, they're meeting on Wednesday, I forget what date it is. It's the last day, or fourth Wednesday. So they'll be meeting there. And their website's bellavistagardenclub.com, and they have all their information on that website. So
Great group and sponsor of the
sponsor our show.
scholarship.
Oh yeah, see, a lot of our money we make at the plant sale goes to scholarships.
That's awesome.
We gave 2 $4,000 scholarships this year to U of A students, and I think it looks like this coming year we'll be giving another 2 scholarships at $4,000 each.
That's
so,
great.
I mean, we make wonderful
Feels
profit.
awesome to be a part of an organization that does that
That's right.
stuff.
Yeah. Well, thank you, David, for joining me today and telling us all about these neat tools.
Now, you didn't see my chainsaw.
Oh, you got a chainsaw
Yeah,
too. Oh,
I
we
brought my
forgot the
little
chainsaw.
handheld. I've been
Oh,
looking
yeah.
for one of these ever since I've been using a chainsaw,
Yeah.
and this thing is so handy
But that's,
because
again, dangerous. You have
it's
to know what you're
yes,
doing.
but it's one-handed,
Mm-hmm.
and so when you get that tedious spot, you can reach in there
Mm-hmm.
and pull stuff away and get in there, and you don't have to manhandle it and
Yeah.
hurt your. This thing has
Yeah.
really saved me a lot of back-breaking work, for sure.
And you
One of
don't
my
need a
favorites.
chainsaw that often, To buy a big one is very expensive.
Yes, and then it sits around
Yeah.
and fuel in it, and it gets gummed up, and you may have to tune it or
Yeah.
whatever. This thing, and it also has batteries that are interchangeable with some of my other tools,
Right.
such like an impact wrench
Right.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So,
Oh, we didn't want to forget that.
yeah, great tool.
But you've got some great tools because
I'm
you're
always looking to be
for.
faster, better, more efficient,
Right.
for sure.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. We
Absolutely.
really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
It's awesome.
Okay.
I'm very, very grateful.
Okay. And if you want to wait, we're going to have another show next month. I'm not sure what the subject is, but if you're on the YouTube page, be sure to subscribe and like what you see on our shows. And until then, till next month, don't forget to stop and smell the roses.
Absolutely.